And in traditional implementation, we see there is not support for advanced TCP options like SAC or timestamps or windows, but we try to make it efficient, which is through the embryonic two-way threshold as opposed to embryonic. Embryonic, you can think like a SYN is presented by the client. In that state is considered embryonic, and a SYN and an ACK from a server is considered embryonic two-way. So there is some resources committed by the server. And the second piece that makes it smart is, of course, qualifying the source. So thereby you contain the whole cookie management to only the trusted sources. On the firewall protection profile, we have the metric, we have the classification and IP protocol. Your concurrent connection, FPS, embryonic, and now you get an embryonic two-way gets added to that. So those are our metrics. And then the protocols is we distinguish IP, ICMP, and all protocols. Now, the embryonic two-way is the TCP flow with a SYN and a SYN-ACK exchanged. And there is no SYN retransmit from the client within 2 seconds of establishing the initial SYN request. And then no reset from the client within 2 seconds, because these are some of the tactics used in these type of attacks. You initiate and tear it down. And no ACK received from the client to complete the handshake. So when a SYN and SYN-ACK is established and the client refuses to close that handshake with an ACK. Now, the way that to turn this on is simple. There are two key configuration elements to look at. One is to turn on the IP reputation, and then there is an IP reputation settings. Configure what is the successive good transaction number and similarly the successive bad transaction number. And by default, we treat it as 20 successive transactions as good and similarly 20 as bad. Once you do that, then the SYN flood options are available both in the custom as well as in your preset thresholds. So I'm setting here the minimum threshold labels and the maximum threshold labels and the actions. And in the actions, it will unleash the SYN cookie and smart SYN cookie. The SYN cookie is standard. You're seeing both option activated here because this device already has the AS or DTD license activated. So the SYN cookie or smart SYN cookie becomes part of your threshold. And then you will also define the reputation settings. That's a very simple setting, as I told, just setting the transaction limit to establish goodness and badness of the source. And this needs to be turned on. And the way that you can turn this on is only when the licenses are enabled and activated. Otherwise, this would be grayed out.